CJ, welcome.
Thank you.
And for the first time today, we're going to introduce you to Ben Schneider. Ben is looking down the locations of the campers. You may have traveled the furthest to get here. Why don't you tell everyone where you're from, the name of your high school, what it's known for, things of that nature.
Well, I'm from Newcastle, Delaware. It's a very small town, about 15 minutes away from Wilmington and 45 minutes from Dover, the capital of Delaware. And I go to a very small private Christian school. It's called Tall Oaks Classical School, and it's K through 12, about 215 students, so very much on the smaller side. I'm one of 13 in my class. And in terms of athletics, we have a very good volleyball team this past year. And I run cross country. We also have a very good cross country team. And that's pretty much it.
Now, what's the team name out there?
Titans.
The Titans, okay. Hey, Kyle. Plum Prunes.
No. No.
This is a little running gag between us guys. I'm sure it just sounds like total gibberish, which probably does to most people. But we're going to change things up a bit, and we're going to go to the eastern end of the state, closer to Delaware. And I'm actually going to turn things over to Kyle Dawson for a little bit as his eyes get wide. We're going to talk about that other team in Pennsylvania, the Philadelphia Phillies, who, while Pirate fans certainly enjoy ripping on the Phillies, it wasn't that long ago that Pittsburgh was in a very similar boat to Philadelphia, in which things were not looking good. They were hoping for the farm system to pick things up. So for a bit of a Philly report, why don't we go to Ben Schneider. Ben, tell us what Philadelphia has been doing other than seeing Charlie Morton go down for the year with an injury.
LOL.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think you look 8 years ago, we were World Series champs. And then 2011, we had Roy Halladay, Cliff Lee, Roy Oswalt, and Cole Hamels. So we have one of the best starting rotations, arguably, in the history of baseball. And took the Cardinals to 5 games in the division series and lost. I think a lot of people think we should have won the World Series that year. And just the decline we saw, even just next year into 2012, was absolutely stunning. And I forget exactly what our record was. I think we were a little below 500, somewhere around there. And then just everything fell apart next year, and we've been struggling ever since. So there's been, I think we have a couple of young guys like Aaron Nola coming up, Michael Franco. I'm a big fan of him. But I think the main problem is we're paying Ryan Howard $25 million this year, and he's not even hitting 200, which, I mean, I guess you can argue he's the veteran on the team. He's one of only a couple guys still left from that World Series roster. But you can't be paying him all that money to not give up very much production at all.
Kyle, you want to jump in here, or should I?
I am not a Phillies guy, but I can certainly look up some statistics.
Let's ask here, CJ, about this. You know, this is a Philly team that for years wanted to be a big market team, wanted to spend a lot of money. Chicago Cubs, L.A. Dodgers, Boston Red Sox, things of that nature. CJ, do you think that this was a poor job by management to handle all those big contracts and not put enough attention on the minor leagues, or do you think that this worked and now it's just time for them to sort of go another route?
In my opinion, that's how the Phillies collapsed. With all those big contracts, they did not need to pay Ryan Howard that contract. He was, 30 or something whenever they gave him that money. They had to have seen that this team was getting older. The production was certainly going to drop. It's very difficult to keep that core group together for such a long time, even though they just won a World Series. That was the biggest problem that the Phillies had, and that's why they've been nothing for the last 5 or so years. They're starting to pick things up, and by building that new core, by building the farm, I think in the next 3-4 years, they could be a legitimate contender in that NL East.
No, I will say this. I am a huge Michael Franco fan, and I am a huge Odubel Herrera fan, and I think those two keep Philadelphia. And we were arguing a couple weeks ago, right, that Philadelphia's got a shot. Like, if they sustain this, they can make the wild card. They can win a division. I don't know if saying that is correct at this point, but I'll tell you what, Franco, Hernandez, Herrera, Even Cameron Rupp behind the plate is something. Maybe those four guys anchoring an offense, and admittedly I haven't seen a ton of the pitching, but the pitching guys they have coming up are really good as well. So they're going to be there in a couple of years. It's just more or less waiting at this point, I think, right? When is it going to be rather than if it is going to happen?
Now, Ben, I kind of want to ask you, obviously, the Philadelphia Flyer Pittsburgh Penguin thing is still very real in Pittsburgh and obviously out in Philadelphia too. But you know, when I was growing up and before there were the three divisions in the wild card, the Pittsburgh Pirate Philadelphia Philly rivalry was about as intense as anything you're going to see. Now, since they went to the three divisions and the Phillies elevated, the Pirates dropped, and then vice versa, in Pittsburgh, it doesn't seem like it's that big of a deal anymore when the Phillies come to town. Is there any semblance of a rivalry between Pittsburgh and Philadelphia on the baseball diamond in that market anymore?
I'd say the Penguins-Flyers rivalry is still there, but on the baseball side, not so much. I'd say, I think 2008, when we were contending for the World Series and won it, the Mets were probably seen as our biggest rivals. So I think you look at other guys in the division like the Nationals, the Braves, the Marlins, I'd say those and the Mets are our four biggest rivals in that regard. So, I mean, the Pirates were playing the Mets last night, so I was in there with all the guys. I'll root for the Pirates, last night and tonight anyway, because I don't want to see the Mets win. So I'll definitely root for the Pirates in that situation. I don't have a problem doing that.
CJ, are you a guy that gets up to see the Philadelphia Phillies against the Pirates, or is it as a young Pirate fan that really hasn't been alive since that's been a rivalry? Is that anything that interests you?
I have not seen what it was like to see the Phillies as an enemy. Whenever they went to the three divisions, the Phillies went to the East, the Pirates to Central. I think that just kind of dumbed down the rivalry. I'm sure my grandfather would not be a Phillies fan, but as far as the way it is now, I don't see the Phillies as a heated rival. I see them more as an enemy whenever they play the Pirates, but I don't hate them.
Got it. All right, well, thank you very much. Taking an interesting look at the Philadelphia Phillies and in Major League Baseball. We'll take a short break, come back with more sports talk on 99.5 The Hive, your home for everything Waynesburg.